What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of U4 Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3. This is episode 5, and with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
Yeah. So after after that, I don't know how to describe that last episode. Yeah, it was an amazing episode for one thing. With the episode with Maki last week. This week we're following up on Yuji and Megami, and of course we're also following up on Panda too.
Yeah, and we haven't
But of
seen
course,
Panda for a while.
y- yeah. But of course, finally get to find out what happens to Principal Yaga after the events of the Shibuya arc. Um, of course, he is being sentenced to execution. What was it by? What was it? Uh, Gakuganji? What was his name?
I I think so. Um, but yeah, he's they're basically after him as well. And the episode kind of starts on a pretty sad note too, because um, I forget this character's name. Like I there's this woman who I guess she lost her son, and the principal basically like transferred. From what I understand, like he transferred the soul of her son, of her, I think her dead son, into the like some kind of a stuffed doll. Uh, and when she sees the doll, she recognizes it as like her son, and just completely like breaks down. Um, and apparently he's been doing this, I guess, with these other dolls too, because these other dolls also have souls and have been like reanimated in a way.
Yeah, it's sort of like showing like that Yaga's pretty much accepted his fate at this point. I mean, everyone knows what ability he has. Like, what was it? A special grade that he's be able to create like an army of I guess these cursed beings that he can transfer
Yeah.
their souls into different inanimate objects.
Well, it,
Uh,
it kind of sucks
yeah,
because like we really haven't. I mean, the Principal Yaga has been very much like a background character for most of the series, and I mean, I don't know. I guess he really, if he really is dead, that sucks because we haven't really seen much of him at all. Like, I mean, we got a little bit. I think this episode is probably the most of what we see from his character. He's pretty much just been in the background the whole series.
yeah. I mean, he was also an important character. Even I think it was a uh,
And
I
like
forgot what the name
season,
of that arc.
like the hidden inventory arc, I guess.
Yeah,
Like,
the inventory arc in which that I guess you could say he was kind of a mentor of sorts to Gojo and Geto.
yeah,
Um,
I mean, it
yeah,
just, yeah, his death, like, I feel like it should have been, like, it really should have been more impactful because, but the way it is, it's just like, yeah, okay, he's dead now, but he's just never really, I don't know, he hasn't really been that involved in the series. So I kind of wish he was a little bit more involved. So then it would, I guess, come as a little bit more of a shock. But
yeah,
yeah,
and of course Panda ends up witnessing the execution, which of course ends up he pretty much like get uh goes into a despair after witnessing this, and of course he ends up escaping soon afterwards. And then of course this is where we catch up with Yugi and Megami in the present day, in which they're looking to recruit or actually get an audience with I think one of the, I think was a expelled third year student of Jujutsu High named Hakari,
mhm.
who's running this like this underground fight club use for sorcerers, but of course they can't use any like magic or any type of abilities to expose themselves. So they just maybe they just basically just make this into like a normal fight club of sorts. So Yuji and Megami are trying to get an audience with Akari, but of course, in order to do that, they needed to participate in a match, against I guess one of their champions, which happens to be Panda. So you, Yuji has a match against Panda, but they don't really fight seriously. They just pretended that they're fighting, and then Panda, of course, takes these like fake soft hits against Yuji to pretend that he's being defeated by him in order to allow Yuji to get an audience with Akari. Of course, during the fight, Panda warns Yuji that he shouldn't reveal himself to be as a member of Jujutsu High because it's gonna create a lot of tension between Yuji and Hikari if he meets with him.
Yeah, I don't know if you picked up on the Fight Club reference too earlier in the episode. Like the one of the guards, I guess, says like the first rule is to not talk about the Fight Club or something. Um, but yeah, so yeah, like you said, that Yuji's basically trying to get, basically trying to infiltrate the Fight Club and get this meeting with Akari. Um, we get introduced to him, and I guess this other like Jujutsu High, I forget her name, but this other character that like hangs around him, and basically like Yuji, of course, quote unquote, wins the fight against Panda, and is because of this, I think, granted an audience with Akari, and basically like this whole scene is done in this like particular angle, where it's just kind of like a shot of the room, and it doesn't really seem to change for the most part. Like it's just showing like one angle of the room where Yuji is talking with Akari. And I saw some people on the internet were kind of criticizing this scene because I think in the way the way it was done in the manga, they show more of like Yuji's reactions to things or his expressions, and there's a little bit more like, I guess, comedy. But in the anime, it's I guess it's played a little bit more serious, and they were trying to be a little bit more cinematic with the approach to the scene, with how it's just kind of shot from that one angle.
Yeah, and their movements look like it was rotoscoped as well.
It probably was. I mean, I do like the attention to detail with like the way the series is directed, especially like, well, I mean, it was kind of like this in season 2 as well, but season 3 also has a lot of these like interesting directing choices. I don't really agree with, the way that episode 4 was directed, with them adding that like kind of upbeat music with the Maki's like slaughtering her entire clan. I think that like people were saying that should have been like a more somber scene, and I kind of agree because like what was happening. But yeah, I mean, I do like most of the directing choices. Like there's a scene earlier in the episode with Yuji and Megumi kind of like walking side by side, and Yuji just kind of like breaks off from Megumi and starts like kind of banging against the guardrail. I thought that was, I don't know if that's even in the manga, but I mean, if not, that's just kind of an interesting choice. I don't know. I mean, it makes the scene more dynamic. Like it's more interesting to look at as opposed to just like two characters like straight walking side by side. Because of course I'm pretty sure that's the way that like One Punch Man season 3 probably would have done things. I mean, it would just literally straight up be the scene lifted from the manga where just the two of them are walking side by side and just their mouths are moving. So I mean, I do like stuff like that. I think that's, I mean, I don't think that if you're adapting the manga, it needs to be like a 1-for-1 adaptation. Like I like when they actually do take some creative liberties with stuff like that. But sometimes it can backfire. Like for instance, like I mentioned before, the Maki stuff. But here I think it was done fairly well. But yeah, so basically, Yuji and Hikari have this conversation where like, Hikari ends up like, trying to basically like he offers Yuji booze, and they're talking, and eventually like his phone starts going off, and apparently like we learned his phone, I guess, like his phone going off like that was to signal that something was wrong. And I think the person trying to contact him was that girl that we saw earlier. Like she was basically, I guess her role was to just like alert him if something wasn't right.
I think she most likely did a background check on Yuji.
Yeah.
More than, and plus like Hikari asks like what was it, Yuji, if he knows like Gojo, but of course Yuji feigns ignorance on Gojo.
Yeah, that was like the dead giveaway because he says he's never heard of Gojo, which of course, yeah, like Hikari refutes that there's nobody involved in the Jujutsu Society that doesn't know about Gojo.
So yeah, that of course gave Yuji away, and then they end up. I guess this starts a bit of a scuffle between them by the end of the episode. So yeah, so it's going to be interesting how Yuji is going to end up handling this situation now that Hikari knows that Yuji's part of Jujutsu High, even though technically, yeah, Yuji has been marked for execution. So it's going to be an interesting way for Yuji to really convince Hikari how that's going to go about.
I think he could probably use that to his advantage when trying to convince Hikari by just saying that he's not technically associated with Jujutsu High and that he's pretty much like an outcast and he's been marked
Yeah.
for death.
Yeah, I mean, just like Hikari, because he's an expelled like third year student from Jujutsu High.
Yeah.
So yeah, you usually could use that his status as being marked for execution as, I guess, as a way to convince Hikari, but at the same time, that I don't know, maybe that might complicate things even further because, like, it would also make Yuji a target and have members of Jujutsu Society to come after Yuji and target Hikari at the same time. So
Yeah, it
I
could go
mean,
the other way around too because Hikari could use that to basically get back into their good graces by trying to get rid of Yuji himself, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, I don't really have too much else to say about the episode though. I thought it was pretty good for the most part. Not really a lot of like big action or any big fight scenes in the episode, but there was still some pretty interesting direction choices in it regardless, even though it was mostly like a pretty dialogue heavy episode. But yeah, I don't have much else to say though. I don't know if you have anything else to say about it.
yeah, it was kind of unfortunate that that Principal Yaga is already taken off the show. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, I wonder. I mean, well, considering Jujutsu Kaisen, I'm sure he probably actually is dead. Like, but it does suck that he got killed off the way he did. Especially like I said, considering his character hasn't really been that important for the most part. Um,
yeah,
and it also sucks because I mean, as everybody could probably pick up on, it's the Japanese voice actor is obviously Kiryu from Yakuza, so that also kind of sucks that we're not going to hear more of him.
mhm.
But yeah, guys. So that all being said, until next time, we will see you all later.